The city is amazing. But have you guys been?
This year has been better, sort of. Towards the end of the year, it's gotten better. I like that for me.
It started well, then in the mid parts it got very shaky. I just want to thank God that everything has ended and we just have 2 more days to go.
Right. I think for me, one of the main thing that was like it for me was the elections, because I feel like it made me more conscious of like social matters and things. Because on the usual, I actually don't care, but I started to read more about like Ghana, other countries in Africa, what people are doing, and then I saw this term, which I have to ask you because you're the journalist, multilateralism. What's that?
In simple terms, it's basically just countries just collaborating with each other.
Cooperating, cool.
Yeah, so it's like a scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, okay. Have you heard of it before?
No, but I know of the concept.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that.
That was the name, literally, like international corporations. Is this something that you feel like Ghana actively does? Do we already like collaborate with other countries as much?
Yeah, we do that a lot. I think that off the top of my head, I can remember how many trade deals we've signed with the US. I think about 2 years ago we signed the AFTA deal as well, where the Africa Free Trade deal with the whole of Africa. With the EU as well, we've signed a few deals. And then with the UN, I think that Ghana is one of the most active countries in the UN.
Very active.
We love it so much.
We love it so much.
Yes,
it's like it's part of us.
we are very, very active. And I mean, fun fact, in 1994, when the Rwandan genocide was happening, it was a Ghanaian commander and Ghanaian troops who actually stayed to make sure that later on the peace came back to Rwanda. So yeah, I mean Ghana is we are really, really interested.
But do you think this sort of like international corporations have value, and why? Do you think it's something that is valuable?
I think everybody needs help. Everybody just needs somebody to help them. So it makes sense if it's, as you said, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And if we are actually benefiting, if it's not just on paper, and people actually are benefiting from it, you can clearly tell that it's helped them, it's helped their business, it's helped them in whatever field they find themselves in. I think it's a good thing. I just have a problem with over-reliance. That's my issue. Yeah.
But then if you look at like the help, which sectors do you feel like is very important for us to have?
The very, very important sector for me is energy.
Energy.
Energy first, a bit of the financing, because as a country we've not done too well with finances over the years, and it's the reason why we rank so high on IMF's debt lists and all of that. So I think that financing, in the sense that maybe the help that is coming or the support that is coming should be support that teaches the technical know-how about how to make the money, rather than just giving us the money and then it going into somewhere that we don't want it to go to. So I think that energy and also agriculture.
Yeah, 100%.
Because,
that's what I would have said.
Yes, because I think that one of the things we've done the same way over the last 200 years in this country is agriculture. And you still go on big plantations and they are still using cutlasses, hoes, and because you hardly ever see farmers using tractors or farmers using proper irrigation methods.
I remember that one
exactly.
from school.
So and even with the animal farmers and all of that, you hardly ever see large scale production of eggs, meats, whatever. So in that field as well, I feel like there should be a lot more support in that field as well. I know that the EU has a sustainable program for cocoa. And I think they've done well over the last few years just to make sure that Ghana produces at a level that doesn't drop. But what we are dealing with in this country in terms of galamsey and people cutting cocoa trees and all of that. I think that a lot more education should go there, a lot more support, so that sacks of cocoa or the cocoa prices should go up a bit. The cocoa farmers make more money, then they wouldn't want to sell their lands or cut their cocoa trees to do galamsey and that sort of things.
So just going back to like international corporations and all, we know that there are international bodies that majority of countries are a part of. When you look at Africa as a continent, do you think we are actively involved in whatever these bodies are doing, like WTO or EU or African Union, whatever? Do you feel like we are actively involved as a continent or as a country?
So also it's in two folds. One fold is that sometimes we are fleeced, where African countries will go into deals and then, for want of a better word, they'll twist our hands to sign the contract in a certain way. another form also is that it's just mere corruption because one person wants it. So they would rather sign the deal in a way that the money comes to them rather than comes to the country. For Africa, the bigger problem though is that for many years, what these partnerships have done is to take and take and take from us. So, for instance, when you go to the DRC, so many minerals, so much wealth, but the country is still very poor. And I think that over the last 5 years, that has been one of the bigger conversations about why the DRC is poor, why there's war in the DRC. And they're calling out now bigger corporations on why they are doing all these things.
I think that we do this often.
Yeah.
I think Africans do this often because we like to point the finger at someone else.
Yeah, yeah, we do, actually.
But you in this country, you have gold. You have have cocoa. You are literally in a country where you can grow crops any time of the year.
Fact.
Look, Nigeria has oil.
Yes.
We are still where we are. We like to point the finger at someone else. Someone didn't do it right. Someone took our money. We are honestly not honest with ourselves.
Right.
We are very dishonest people.
Yes.
Yes, there's the corruption as well. And as a people, because again, our leaders are a reflection of who we are.
I'm just going to give you one example. In the Niger Delta area where the oil is taken, the place is very underdeveloped. People don't have jobs, whatever.
Don't even go
You understand?
Here
No,
in Ghana. Where do we get the gold? Have you seen their road?
Exactly. So I think in the last 10 years, I should say, the indigenes of the Niger Delta area are trying to take their land back. You know, trying to say that these guys, you know, we don't want you here anymore. It's either you give us a share of the cake or you leave. But the leaders need to have, they have the mandates.
Yeah.
They go into the boardrooms. They sit in places that you and I can't sit in.
Yeah.
And so they have to make the best.
So if they are not...
So when you even look at like African leaders, do you think they need to actively collaborate more? Like,
I think yes, we need to collaborate a bit more. I think that also first world countries also need to do a bit more when it comes to...
Oh my
You know.
God, you
No,
people.
no, it's true.
see,
No, it's true.
No, it's true. They
It's
should.
true, I agree.
See, I don't want to go into a much larger conversation
But
of,
it's
you know,
necessary.
but it's necessary that they do. Because look, for me, I always say that I do not understand why Ghana and Togo is not one country. And it was only separated because someone decided that, oh, let's
separate them. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
You understand? So we can't have this conversation without talking about them and the kind of help they would give us. I mean, I understand that our leaders have not helped us in the last 60 years. It's facts. But they also have a responsibility. Our leaders also need to do a much better job when it comes to signing deals and avoiding the money going straight into their pockets when they can actually use that kind of money to do a bit of development. I mean, marked development in this country. Because, look, when you talk to the average Ghanaian on the streets, what do they want?
It's the basics, man.
Exactly. What do they
Water,
want?
hospital.
But I
Yeah.
just want street lights, okay?
Thank you.
I just want to go home.
Thank you.
safe.
Thank you.
Basic
You understand? Which is very basic. Very, very basic.
Yeah. Which countries do you think are like our biggest allies, like for Ghana?
Biggest allies for Ghana, I mean, obviously the US, because I mean, every time there's like a new US ambassador who's brought to Ghana, the person becomes so popular, you know, amongst us.
Yeah.
Ghana, China, yes. Ghana and the EU.
Yes.
There are some countries in the EU who Ghana is very linked with. I mean, also again, over the last 5 years, the French have become, you know, very close allies to Ghana, and they are doing a lot in the creative space. So, you know, kudos to
Yes, I
them.
know.
And
That is true.
yeah,
Very
and
true.
then the Germans also, when it comes to the, you know, trying to help the economy in the way that they can. I think that they've also done theirs.
What exactly do you want? No, because honestly, like, I feel like these people have been helping you. They've been holding your hand. What do you want them? They should carry you.
No, we're not saying they should carry us,
No,
but
no,
it's
that's-
like
yeah.
switch it up.
Yeah.
Because the more the average Ghanaian understands what they are doing, the more they can appreciate and cooperate.
Exactly.
Do you get
No
it?
problem. So what do you want them to do right now?
For example, simple education about climate change,
Yes.
understanding why should we even
Yes.
interact
Because
with the
those
EU.
those are global issues.
Yes.
And when it comes to, because look, you can't explain climate change to the average Ghanaian for the person to understand. I mean, in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that if they help us in that line,
Collaborate.
it will be better.
Okay.
I mean, look at how we struggled with COVID-19, trying to tell people to get inside rooms.
Yeah.
Because you can't come outside. So I think that all of those things, you know, the education bit is important.
Yeah.
It's even the bigger collaboration thing that they have to do rather than, you know, having to, you know, give us cash or whatever. You know, the education is even very, very important because look, the Etiwa forest in the eastern region is being depleted. It is one of the biggest sources of oxygen, whatever, in West Africa, and they are depleting that forest. It's not just going to affect Africa if that happens. It's not just going to affect West Africa in itself. Whatever they want to do, however they want to spin it, West Africa is still very close to Europe. So what affects us would affect them in a way. So they have to do something about it, and education will do.
And then for Ghana, what do you think we can do to sort of contribute more on an international scale, even like with these things? Like
Ghana is a country that commands some level of authority when it comes to the AU level and then the ECOWAS level. So I think that what can be done also is that we can use our voice to make sure that we are building a much better ECOWAS and a much better AU, so that when we go into trade deals with, you know, the West or even the East, you know, because the Eastern Bloc has also become really strong over the last few years. So we just need to make the right decisions for ourselves. And making the right decisions would also mean that we are going into conversations with some of the top African countries, you know, like Nigeria, South Africa. These countries just need to come together, have one voice when we are going. Because trust me, sometimes there isn't one voice. Sometimes, you know, South Africa will say, oh, I'm much bigger than Namibia, so I'd want to do things for myself, or I'd want to do that. But there has to be a bit of unity. And it's crazy that it says African unity, but in many ways it's not like that.
So talking about agriculture, I think earlier we were talking about how we don't even see our farmers doing more. When it comes to the kind of things we export, do you think there's more that we can do to add value to whatever we are finally sending out there? Or you think it's the raw material thing we do be cool?
No, it'll be cool. It'll be cool because look, if they are buying raw materials from you, they would probably buy it at a base price or at a unit price, and it doesn't bring you as much foreign exchange as it would if you were sending it out. And you know, I like to give examples. Somewhere in the 1910s, 1920s, when Argentina was booming and you know they were sending meat across the world, they realized that, you know, sending the meat just like that to Africa or to Europe wasn't going to help, and that's why they started making it corned beef, and then they started sending it around, and that gives them more revenue than the meat would have ever given them. You understand? So I think that it's one of the things that we need to do. You know, if we are going to export tomatoes, we need to try to make them canned tomatoes, or you know, the tomato paste, puree, whatever we use here, or even ketchup. Oh, exactly. Yes. So,
and the interesting thing is that also is actually job creation, because
yes,
it's not just from farm to export, it's farm to factory to.
That's great, and that's the reason why I was talking about the support in terms of the fact that, you know, it is these countries that the products go into anyway.
They already know how to do these
exactly.
things.
So if they are investing in where they get the raw materials, then you know it creates jobs, whatever. Then they do not have to even, you know, do a lot of the aid that they do, because the people have jobs to do, the people have, you know, much more revenue.
The aid is benefiting them, so you can't expect them to.
No, I agree.
There should be a balance.
There should be a balance.
You see, you are talking like the world is fair. If I'm gaining much more, I give you small money and then you do something, and then when you bring the tomatoes and I go and do whatever I want to and come back and sell it to you and I make so much money, you think that I should level the playing field?
Yeah, so that's the whole point. Like, people like us are beginning to understand why this isn't an ideal situation. And that's the whole point of evolving and growth. If we see that we have a relationship with this country, it's a good relationship. We dey give you guys raw materials. But right now we say that no, that one no dey help us. We want to give you semi-finished goods. If you say no and you're not going to get anything from us again, it's you that your body go have you.
See, that's the thing, because you don't have the power. Because
That's exactly what we are talking about now. If you are doing it alone, it's not going to work. If Ghana, get anxiety. Ghana, we have gold. All these countries, we do federal whatever of gold management in Africa. And we all say that, bro, if it is not from this quality to this quality, we are not taking it out. Who is going to say no? obviously it's a long shot because it takes a long time for people to cooperate. Because like, why should I cooperate with Ghana?
Yeah.
Why should I do this? But when we start having conversations like this and people understand why these kind of things should happen, oh Charlie, if Ghana and Nigeria, we are actually in a good relationship and we have like a relationship with EU or we have a relationship with America, this and this will make sense.
Yes. To be honest, Ghana is second largest producer of cocoa. Ivory Coast is largest producer of cocoa. Why hasn't there been a form of partnership?
If we come together, right,
you know, to
crazy.
make sure that we determine, you know, the quality of cocoa and all of that in the world. I think that but I mean, we should just stop. We should stop this. We should stop this jollof wars and you know.
This was above the noise. We've been able to have a good conversation, so I love that for us.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, guys.